Buon pomeriggio! Quest'oggi siamo collegati direttamente con gli Stati Uniti a parlarci di musica, uno dei più grandi protagonisti del palcoscenico mondiale. Abbiamo l'onore di avere come ospite il maestro Joseph primo trombone dell'Orchestra Philharmonica di New York e dal 1986 insegnante presso la Julliard School di New York. Il maestro Alessi ha suonato nelle più importanti e prestigiose orchestre in tutto il mondo. Particolarmente legato alla nostra terra, il maestro, in quanto ha origini siciliane, è cresciuto in una famiglia di musicisti a San Francisco, anche se lui è nato a Detroit. Benissimo, maestro, la ringraziamo molto per aver accolto il nostro invito e cominciamo subito con le domande. Le sue origini italiane hanno influenzato il suo modo di fare musica? In che modo?
There is a history of musicians in my family. So Giuseppe Alessi from Sicilia, he was from Agrigento, and he was a cornet soloist. In Sicily, he was featured in town bands, but he was a virtuoso. He was an amazing talent, and his father was played trombone, but wasn't that good. I am told, but Giuseppe was exceptional, and I never got to meet him because he died when I was very young. Maybe I did meet him, but I don't remember. Anyway, Giuseppe came to America because his father, Nicola, told him that he must go to America and get a job and make money to bring the family over from Sicily. And that's what he did. So when he got to America, he went to New York, and he wasn't able to play professionally for a while, and he got a job in a barber shop, okay, barbieri, okay, and he was a barber shop assistant, okay, and then he worked. So that's what was one of his jobs, but he really wanted to play, and he met another musician friend of his from Sicily, who also immigrated, and he asked his friend, I would love to start playing again. Do you know where I could play in New York? And so yes, and then he said, yes, I do know. And so my grandfather started playing again, and really practicing, and he won a job. He must have auditioned for this job. It was the Rialto Theater, Teatro di Rialto, in New York City, and he became the cornet soloist. He was featured, I think, every day at the theater, and there is a brass historian here in New York, and he looked up information on my grandfather, found reviews in the New York Times of my grandfather playing these daily solos that he played. So and later on he became professor at Manhattan School of Music, trumpet professor. And so anyway, he also was featured in some movie scores and played at the Metropolitan Opera also. He was a trumpet player there. So I did one day find his contract. I went to the Metropolitan Orchestra archives and found information on my grandfather. So, back then there were many Italians and German players who immigrated to the U.S., musicians, and in the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra it was full of Italians and Germans. That was the yes. So that's how that happened. And on my other side, my mother, Maria Leone, who was from Sulmona, or not, she wasn't from Sulmona, but my grandfather Nunzio Leone was from Sulmona, and my mother was born, of course, here in America, so they immigrated to the United States. Now, my Nunzio and my grandmother Assunta, they were not musicians, but my mother was an amazing singer who sang at the Metropolitan Opera.
Come è cambiata l'industria musicale negli ultimi decenni negli Stati Uniti?
It's changed more in the last year than it ever has changed, I think. Uh, because there's freelance musicians. I don't know how you say that, freelance musicians in all over America and all over the world, that are not playing professionally now because there's no theater. The theaters are closed mostly. So that has changed dramatically. But if it weren't for the pandemic, how has it changed? I would say in the U.S., it's more difficult for professional orchestras to stay viable uh, because they're not government funded like they are in Europe, and we have many orchestras in the United States. Some are having financial problems, especially now, but um, I think in America, the culture is not like it is. Culture awareness is not like it is in Europe and even in Asia. So orchestras have to do a better job to attract new audiences, and so that's what all the orchestras are dealing with, even before the pandemic. How to attract new audiences and how to do different programming and how to get the audience more involved and how to do more community outreach. So that's important. Um, and as you know, or at least in America, there's so many college, university music students, and so I'm worried for them, for the young people who are studying now, and all the young high school talented young high school players. You know, the United States is going to have to do a better job to create more opportunities for musicians. because if we don't have any place to play, that is an issue.
Come stanno vivendo le orchestre negli Stati Uniti questo periodo di pandemia?
Uh, as you know, the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra is an incredible orchestra, but up until recently, they weren't getting paid at all. They're getting paid something now, and so all these great musicians, many of them had to leave New York area because it's just too expensive to live. So they went back to live with their families in Kentucky or around the around the United States, and this is tragic. Um, so and we don't really know when we can open up with full audiences. This is still a big question mark. So it's kind of a tough time right now. Um, and what orchestras are doing right now to stay important is um, many concerts, or not concerts, many recording sessions where we go to a church or we go to anywhere and do some audio and video presentations. So this is what we're doing. In our orchestra, we're very fortunate because we have a fantastic board. Our board is amazing, and they are supporting the orchestra. We just signed a 4-year contract just now, at a reduced salary level, but we are employed for 4 years, which is amazing during this time, and we are designing our concert hall, and our organization is spending millions and millions of dollars on this renovation, and so that's I think we're very fortunate, and hoping that in 2022 in October we will come back to our new concert hall, and with the big audience, and it's going to be a grand opening. But many orchestras are just suffering during this time, and the longer this goes on, it's not good.
Molti dei suoi studenti occupano posti nelle principali orchestre sinfoniche in tutto il mondo. Qual è il consiglio fondamentale che si sente di dare a loro prima che questi intraprendano la loro carriera da musicisti?
What I try to teach my students is, I prepare them for the audition, and prepare them by working on their playing, and we work on fundamentals, we work on sound, we work on technique, musicality, phrasing. But what is hard to do is train them once they get on the job. Once you get on the job, I'm not there to help them. They're sort of on their own, and so I do tell them, how to pass their tenure process. So the tenure process is a 2-year examination where your colleagues and peers will judge you on your performance, but also how you behave in an orchestra. So I'm giving them advice, what to do when you're on the job, once you get into the orchestra, how you should warm up, how to say hello to people, how to smile, to look happy, and just how to deal with people, how to engage with people. What should you say or not say to the conductor? Um, and I give them as much advice as they can. But I also would say, for myself, uh, being in an orchestra was never enough for me. So I want to be involved in as many aspects of music as possible, which means uh, playing jazz. Now I know about recording, so I record myself. I know a little bit about that. I like to teach. I like to play in chamber music concerts, and I like to work with Stan on my partner here regarding the Alessi Music Studios. And so you have to have you have to branch out. Also, writing, you have to compose and arrange. So composing and arranging is something that I would like to do myself at some point. But I tell my students, you have to be prepared for anything. You have to be versatile, and you have to also be willing to teach in a university and create your own studio of trombonists.
È scomparso, maestro, da poco il grande pianista Chick Corea. Ci può raccontare un episodio con lui che ricorda con piacere? So che eravate amici.
Wow. Yeah, I there was probably two or three moments that I remember. One is speaking with him the first time on the telephone and talking about this new concerto. So that was one, and wow, I'm actually talking to Chick Corea. I never thought I would ever do that. The second was um, when he invited me to play at the Blue Note, and he invited me up to play a couple tunes with his group. So that was just amazing. I actually have video of that, and and then the other time was just having dinner with him in Florida and working with him in his house on the concerto. So and he was just a very nice man. Um, he was very gentle and very kind, and I really miss him and enjoyed that time together. It's very hard to believe that he's not with us anymore, because he was so vital, and he died so suddenly. But yes, I'm the luckiest person on earth to be able to uh, perform this concerto, and I can't wait till this virus is just gone, so that musicians can get back to work and we can perform great projects like this.
Ha intenzione di tornare in Italia quest'anno, magari tornare proprio a Fossano?
Yeah, I was supposed to come in September, but it's a little too early for that. So we're going to try to do it in the spring of I'll try to return in the spring of 2022. And hopefully by then, I think things will be a lot better. Many people will have their vaccinations now. Almost, I think most people will. And I love Fossano. I love Piemonte. I love my friends there. I love the air, how it smells. I like going to the Agri Gelateria there with Stan. That was I just love everything about it there, and yeah, I'm hoping someday I can actually live in Italy for a bit. My brother, he teaches in Bern, Switzerland. He's the trumpet professor there, uh, Ralph Alessi. Yeah, and so he wants to buy a house somewhere in Italy, and so um, yeah, I got to get back to Italy. That's I feel very at home there. All I have to do now is learn the language, and I will do that. Stan is my teacher.
Si conclude il tempo a nostra disposizione. Ancora grazie per questa piacevole conversazione al maestro Josephalessi. Speriamo presto di averla nostro ospite in Italia. Grazie maestro, grazie davvero.
Yes, thank you so much, Sylvia. Thank you.